Well, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the City of Winona Sustainability Committee for Thursday, March 7th, 2024. Before you've got the roll call here, and I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, January 11th.
I will so move.
We've got a motion from Alder Bernstein. Is there a second?
I can second.
Ken seconds. Is there anyone, are there any changes, corrections at all? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. We do not have any appearances tonight, but we do have some unfinished business. I'll move into that. So just discussion and possible action on amendments to chapter 263-5 of the Winona Municipal Code of Ordinances regarding the regulation of natural lawns. We've blocked off a significant portion of time tonight to talk about this because we've got a little reading to do. If you scroll down in your packet, and if you recall, we've been sort of thinking about whether, we wanted to make it easier for people to have a natural lawn, meaning, you get rid of your Kentucky bluegrass and your turf grass and you plant things that are more sustainable, that attract bees, and they put nutrients back in the soil and really enrich all the soil. And we started off with, a couple amendments to our original ordinances. We ran them past citizens. We got some feedback that kind of made us change our direction. Long story short, between the last time we met and tonight, Thor discovered that the city of Green Bay happened to have an ordinance that checked all the boxes. It addressed the concerns we were hearing from Public Works. It addressed the concerns we were hearing from, citizens. And in a nutshell, the way that it does that is it sort of takes natural lawns and it breaks them into two categories. You have tall grasses that can be, rather tall, several feet tall. And then you have short ground cover like clover and little fescues and things like that. Flowering lawns, bee lawns, things like that. So Public Works was concerned that if the grass got too long, it would block sight lines. That was a safety concern. Well, now we have these two categories. As long as you have a short grass, you can plant it up, in places where the sight lines are not blocked.
Would that coincide with the distance from the street?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I kind of got ahead of myself. So there was the categorization of like the types of the heights of plants, and then there's setbacks, right? So, and jump in at any time. So Public Works was originally concerned that they didn't want to plant right up to the right of way, because if the grass was too long or if the plantings were very beautiful and fancy and labor intensive, what if Public Works needed to somehow dig them up? They didn't want to, put the homeowner in a situation like that. There was also a concern about setbacks from property lines, right? We had talked about, 5 feet or 10 feet. That seemed too big for us. Thor learned from the planning work that you do that we currently allow auxiliary buildings to be constructed within 3 feet of property lines.
Yeah, so the planning director, recommended that we go with 3 feet for setbacks in the side yard and rear yard. So where you're bordering a neighbor, a 3-foot setback for the taller plantings to mimic what we do for accessory buildings like sheds and garages. His thought was these plants get tall, right? If they fall over because they're overgrown, because they get wet, because they get snowed on, and we want to keep them on the property. That setback though would go to 0 if you have a fence. So if you have a permitted fence, you could put those plants all the way up to your own fence. And let's see, the other setbacks in the front yard. So we worked with the Public Works Director, like Teresa was mentioning, and he eventually was okay with not having any setbacks in the front yard. So allowing plantings on the right of way, all the way up to the street, as long as it's not blocking the view from driveways.
Yeah.
So the way it's written right now is there's no front yard setback you know, we could,
As long as it's a no mow lawn,
it's for anything, actually.
which we want to change, because we know that that's gonna get nixed.
I have a question.
Yeah.
A public works question, since I have great experience cleaning out Ford storm drains. You know, if people don't have places to put their brush or their garbage cans or whatever, you know, I'm concerned that if they're allowed to not reserve some space at least.
Well, but that's,
For, you know, for
So
the
you're
general
concerned-
utility kinds of things that
but
happen.
why would I do that to myself? Why would I take away my own space to put my own garbage cans? I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I have somebody, that-
Well, then that hurts them.
it's,
It hurts them. It doesn't hurt, you know, I mean,
I have to clean the street.
but it's, well,
So you're thinking if,
Brush,
if
brush,
there's-
yeah, you know, if. There's a lot, if you ride around town, you will find people's brush hanging on the street all over the place.
so,
Yeah.
so,
So, you know,
that-
it's just like, how do you
right. So here's what,
negotiate that trouble?
so here's how we do it.
Okay,
Here's how we do it. Remember, we said that there were two categories. There was the tall grass and the short grass. So as Thor and I were reviewing this document, and it's on page 6, where the definitions begin.
Mhm.
So there's natural lawn, which includes the taller grasses. There's the number 3, the no mow lawn. We also would be adding no mow lawn / bee lawn / flowering lawn. And I think it would be good to include those terms because those terms are already floating around in the community, and then we get ahead of any questions that people
Wait,
might
so
have.
when I look at this, what is the tall grass and what is the short grass? Are those different varieties of turf grass lawn?
no, so turf grass has its own definition.
Okay,
So
Number
a
5.
traditional turf grass lawn would be those, you know, that are
what
regularly
we think of
mowed.
as a lawn, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we
exactly.
list, you know, the common species. Then we've got the no mow lawn, which Teresa and I have been discussing. I think we would update that language to maybe low mow lawn or something of the
Yeah.
sorts, because we wanted to include those types of lawns that are pollinator friendly, they do flower,
But they're
but they
very short.
don't exceed that
Right.
8-inch maximum generally.
Right.
So
Ah,
there's
okay.
the bunch grass that kind of grows and then folds over on itself,
Like brown.
like the
okay.
Henrys.
Yeah.
And then clovers,
Violets.
yeah, wild violet,
Yeah, you know, yeah, right.
yep,
So that's
some of
what
those
we're
plants.
calling a short grass, is the no.
Yeah,
mow
right,
is what we're
right.
referring to as short
Like a
grass.
flowering lawn or a, yes,
Okay.
exactly,
Gotcha.
Ken.
Right,
And for those, you can go right up to the street for those. But for the taller lawns, I don't think we should let those go right up to the street. You even brought it up just now. And I think that could create a sightline issue.
I think so, I
Yeah.
think it would, so we should have some kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, some
I-
solid guidelines
I
in
think
there.
what we talked about was down this page, on number 3, letter D3, where it talks about setbacks. We talked about how there are setbacks for the natural lawn, getting back to those definitions, you've got that low mow or the flowering lawn, and then you've got the natural lawn. So there could be setbacks for the natural lawn, which are those that you see. And then we would include a clarifying sentence that says setbacks for the low mow lawn, there are none. You can go right up to, you know, wherever.
I think that's part E says that, right? It says no setback is required inside, rear, or shore yards for natural lawns defined as
Oh.
normal lawns. I think you could just, you
I'm
could
so
just
sorry,
strike,
I didn't see that.
but I think what you're saying is you could strike the side, rear, or shore yards and just say no setback is required for natural lawns defined as normal
Right,
lawns.
right,
Yeah.
'Cause
right.
we'd
just
like
to make
people to
it-
be able to do that in their front yard as well, right?
Exactly.
I think
So
I would move that up.
Move it
Also,
up,
just
yeah,
so
move it
it's
up,
the
yeah.
first thing most visible.
Yeah, make that the top one, yeah, so that the
Yeah.
no mow lawns, there's no setback required.
Right, so basically, everywhere that you currently have your regular old lawn, as long as you're replacing it with a short type of lawn, you can plant it in the same places. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's no, yeah, okay.
So the thing I think we should also discuss, do we still we want that to be managed still,
Yeah.
right? We don't want it just to be like,
Neglect,
yes,
Right.
just dandelions that people are letting go to seed.
right?
Because that probably would fall under that.
Yes,
So for those lawns, do we still want folks to submit the management plan to the city?
And
Just to say, I'm planting these plants with this intention. You know, and here's how often I'll mow.
so the thought process behind this, at one point, we thought no registration, no plans submitted, we've gone on both extremes, right? And so we've kind of landed in the middle with a very simple little sketch or drawing is what
Yeah,
maybe we
so
do.
there will be a management plan that you need to submit. There's no permit, there's no fee, just you need to have something registered with the city so that you can demonstrate the intent, so that, you know, we have something to reference in case we're receiving complaints from neighbors, in case, you know, it does become neglected. There's something to hold the property owner accountable to. So the thought is this natural lawn management plan. Which would just include, you know, a description of the species you're using. And just a little sketch of your property with where those plantings are, right? You know, maybe it's a once a year thing and once every other year thing, that's just filed with the city and we have it on hand.
I really like how you said it, that it's just to prove intention, your intent. You're not just neglecting this property, you have an intentional plan for it. And then the definition of natural lawn management plan, again, that's up in that section with all the other definitions. I really like that section that lays out all the definitions, because that really sets the stage for the whole text to follow. It's such a great thing that you found here, Thor. Thank you so much.
Where?
The definition section is on page 6, letter B.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And
So a
then,
no-mow
oh, go
lawn,
ahead.
so I think we'll have to kind of rework this a little bit so that a no-mow lawn falls under the umbrella of a natural lawn.
Yeah,
So you still need the management plan,
right.
but then you're not subject to those setbacks.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. that's
So
simple
natural
enough.
lawn, so
Yes, so no mo is included under the umbrella of a natural lawn.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right now, I don't think it would be, since it's those plants that are purposefully cultivated to exceed 8 inches.
Yeah,
Some of
we-
those would be smaller. So,
Correct.
yeah, we can,
So we've still got a little bit of working out to do here.
one setback that we worked out with the planning director is for shore yards. So shore yard would be defined as the rear yard for any waterfront parcel. Yeah, we're a little more restrictive with setbacks in shore yards. So we have this 25-foot setback from the ordinary high water mark for accessory buildings. Most accessory buildings are not allowed in the shore yard at all. Boathouses are, but things like sheds are just not allowed in the shore yard. Pools and a couple other things are allowed, but at this 25-foot from the ordinary high water mark setback, it's pretty substantial. The reason it's there is because the city is a little protective of, or sensitive to, view sheds from neighbors. It's there so that structures can't block views of the water for neighbors. So
So is this room 25 feet long? No.
a little longer, this
10,
table
I
might
think
be
long.
25 feet,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're talking about from the point where the water starts naturally to
High
the,
But the ordinary high water mark, which is even above where the water is. Yeah,
so less than the length of this table,
a little more.
a little more.
Yeah.
So, but a person could plant a tree that close to the
Yeah,
water, a person could plant a big shrub.
yeah, so I agree, I think we could keep working with planning director.
Yeah.
See if we
Yeah.
can whittle that down. Maybe we have dimensional requirements
Yeah.
in the shore yard,
Yeah.
you can have one wherever, but it has to be less than a certain size. Yeah, people could put plantings back there.
Right, yeah.
for Landscaping.
So the shoreline setback is kind of a tricky one to. But all it really is natural lawns shall not substantially block neighbors' views. That's really the gist of it.
Maybe that's all we
Yeah,
need.
maybe strike the 25 feet and just leave that part. The natural lawns in the
Yeah.
shore should not substantially block neighbors' views.
Yeah,
That's the more critical thing. The
the
25 feet is
thing.
kind of arbitrary, right?
So you could have a great big, great big shrub or tree, yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you could be 26 feet back, but if your natural lawn is 12 feet high of bamboo, it's gonna
Right.
be an annoyance, right?
I really hope we don't have any of those trouble.
But you never know. Oh, you never know.
not native and naturalized to the state
Not
of
native
Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, a few more years of global warming, we'll have bamboo spreading up here. You just wait.
Mhm.
We're laughing. Yeah,
But anyways, I think it's the latter part of that setback piece there
that's
that's really
key,
important.
yeah.
Not the 25 feet itself, right?
All right, I'll keep working with Doug and see if we can whittle that down.
So people actually have to anticipate the growth of whatever they're
yeah,
Yeah.
planting.
Yep, and there is a requirement that
Have to trim it down.
it has to,
right?
they have to be kept at appropriate heights, you can't just like plant them and let them
Let 'em
go.
go.
It has to be a healthy, appropriate height.
and one of the bits of feedback that we got when some of our citizens were looking at, some of our residents that already have natural lawns, when they were looking at this, one of the comments was, why do we need any of this, right? I mean, shouldn't we just be letting people, people, we should be encouraging this sort of, natural plantings.
Creativity.
But yeah, and I get that. I think this is just, it's nice to have something here. So that the city can have something somewhere to reference if there ever is a complaint. Probably there never will be, but at least it's covered now in case there is.
Yeah,
So,
these things
yeah.
they can have impacts,
You
right,
never
because
know.
they might go to seed, they could,
Right.
spread.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, so,
So
And really,
tonight,
all the ordinance is doing is it's legitimizing practices that are already happening, right?
that's the goal, yeah,
People aren't gonna get squawk from a neighbor that complains about their, big blue stem or whatever it is that they got in their yard,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So just to be fair and just to keep in line with, what's customarily done, tonight, we're gonna consider this as a first read of the ordinance with the intention that at our next meeting, we would vote to pass it and then move it on to council. If we can keep on that timeline, our next meeting would be April 4th.
Yep.
And then the next council meeting would be April 15th. Because we would miss the April 1st council meeting, but we could catch the April 15th council meeting. That would be first read at council. And then the next time the council would have the opportunity to vote on it would be May 6th. So we're kind of really trying to push for that May 6th approval so that we get this out in the month of May. And then it needs what? And so then we can just start advertising it.
yeah,
So I think we should start thinking of ways that we can promote this tonight. And we can fine tune that next time we meet. But so I'm thinking like, press releases. updates on the website. Thor could probably use some help with updating text on the website. We'd probably want to get it out in the city, the Maimonona e-newsletter, WVMO, just all sorts of promotions like that. And I'm certainly available to help with that. If others in the room have ideas for or free time that they could help out, that would be fantastic.
And the purpose of the promotions is not to teach people what a natural lawn is, but to get them to know that this is in process, or
A little
what
bit,
is
a
the-
little bit of both, I think, to encourage them, to get the conversation starting. It's kind of like NOMO May is a conversation starter more than anything else, in my opinion. It's not a magic bullet, it's not gonna, save everything, but it gets people thinking about how they can use their own property in ways that, when multiplied over hundreds of properties, actually has a significant impact on the health of our water table, our drinking
yeah.
water,
Question.
So it's just a conversation starter. Yeah, I don't have to tell you about how the
No,
environmental
no.
benefits you.
What I
But-
don't know is.
yeah. Yeah, but But yeah, to like.
I
get
don't have
people
the personal
options.
expertise in that, so I
Yeah,
feel like I'm
yeah.
right.
The city
Yeah.
either.
Right for you on that one.
That's where we lean on Aldo Leopold Nature Center, on
Yeah, other
UW
people.
Extension, the Arboretum, they have experts who,
I
Yeah.
wonder if you could even reach out to some of these people who are experts with some ideas of, maybe they'd be willing to write something
Yeah,
for us. It doesn't have to be one of us.
Yeah.
If they have a perspective or something that
Yeah.
you think would be valuable,
um,
it'd be nice to involve more.
mhm. Yes, we can certainly do that, yeah. I just lost my train of thought here.
I'm sorry.
No, it's me, not you. I'm the one that's foggy thinking. But yeah, I think that was the only thing we needed to talk about, Thor, about this. I mean, the
okay, yeah,
promotion,
so.
was there something more?
Well, I just want to clarify, so some of the changes we want to see are to the shore yard setbacks. We're gonna add a front yard setback. So, and that's gonna be 3 feet.
We're not gonna add a front yard setback, we're just going to allow the low mow lawns not to have, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so for the
For
tall
the
plants.
Yes,
It's
yes,
3,
They must have.
3 foot,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so
yes,
we've got two types of yards we can think about, ones that have sidewalk and ones that do not.
Right.
So when there is no sidewalk, do the 3 feet, I think, and then when there is, would we do no tall plants between the curb and the sidewalk?
Is there something about the right of way that we should build that into the parameters or not?
Just having walked around the neighborhood, I can tell you there are definitely homes that have natural lawns that go up to the sidewalk right now.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
And
Ouch.
I'm pretty sure I can think of some that also extend out into the, terrace area out by the curb as well.
Yeah, so maybe we can just leave it as they're allowed in any location that does not block
Sight
views, yeah.
lines, yeah.
Yeah.
maybe that-
Because the other question I would have too, is there some properties where the street, I mean, the terrain just goes straight up, from the street. There's very little, and I don't know how you would measure, or you know what I mean, I don't know what you would want of that, because that also just in itself blocks some sightlines,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah,
It's getting
So it's
complicated.
It's kind of the same as along the shoreline, you can't block the view. you
Yeah,
can't
just
block- it's
make
kind
it
of the
more
same as
simple
that,
almost
Yeah,
than, yeah, right.
okay,
okay, so, yeah, we'll have to just rely on some discretion there. That's the benefit of having people submit this plan, which you'll be able to identify, if there's tall plants that are too close to it, driveway opening.
and I think you talked about, I'm just getting this down myself so I don't forget it, I think you also talked about within the definitions section that
Yeah,
this concept of describing a no or a low mow lawn as a subset of a natural lawn.
Yep.
That was one thing I remember you saying.
Yeah. Then. Ensure that the management plan is written to require, to also include no mow lawns. So that we avoid the problem of just. Dandelion overgrowth.
Yeah,
Okay,
I did receive quite, I'd say probably half a dozen people during last year's No Mow May. They just jokingly said, can I just no mow forever, like not mow at all? I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely an appetite out there for trading in this labor intensive. You know,
Yeah.
turf grass for something that maintains a lower height. All right, is there anything else folks would like to bring up about the ordinance or any concerns or any other thoughts?
Let me go back to what you just said,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I wanted to follow what your train of thought ultimately was.
Sure.
Are you thinking that that might be when we would head to actually allow people not to mow at all? I mean, because if you could argue that sustainably,
Yeah,
doesn't matter if it's electric, gas.
right.
It's like you're still,
I mean, if
so I
it is,
just wondered what.
if it is the type of
What were you
grass,
thinking?
if it is the type of grass that does not require mowing, like the types listed in the ordinance.
I see.
Yes.
Then you can.
But if it's just
Oh, okay.
neglecting your turf grass, that's not what we're advocating for.
yeah,
Yeah,
So they would have to change
Yeah.
their. what
yeah,
they've got
swap it out
planted,
for a
swap it
different
out.
kind of plant.
Then you
Yes.
don't have to mow.
Correct,
Right,
because it doesn't grow very
right,
tall.
okay.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah,
all right,
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
it's
That's all
simple.
I can understand.
For everybody, you and everybody. Okay, are we ready to move on to then some new business? We want to talk about some project planning for this year's No Mow May / pollinator habitat outreach. We've got a really skeletal group here tonight, so not a lot of volunteer power, but we will be starting that up again. We've got the the playbook from last year, all the same sorts of things we can do. Ideally, we get this ordinance passed and we sort of build, I think we build our 2024 No Mow May around, a lot of it involves this ordinance and just the
Yeah.
idea of moving beyond No Mow May, right? So people still have yard signs, No Mow May yard signs from last year.
should we make
We
some
don't-
yard signs
I was
for
gonna
natural
I
lawns?
wonder, like,
If you're the first 10 people who,
sign me up.
the first 10, 20 people who
Yeah, who's,
register their lawn,
Get
get
a
a
sign.
free sign or something like
that's
that.
kind of a good idea.
Well,
You're
do we
saying,
think
"Man, I
there's
like
gonna
it."
be more people that want no mow May signs? I mean, that's maybe the first question. Do we need to
Yeah.
print another
How
batch of
many,
those
yeah, so
signs?
how many do we have?
I need to check how many we have. It was low last year. We didn't make any more. No, we did make some more.
We did,
Yeah, I have a box right behind my desk.
yeah. So you'll check on that and then, we don't ask for them back every year, the way you do for like a campaign sign, you bring it back in. So we don't really know if people are gonna. Do we
We
wanna
hope
do
that
any?
they'll reuse them, right? I'd
You
say
hope-
we
you
want them to
hope.
keep them and reuse them, yeah.
You hope, right?
Well, it might be nice just to have them return them anyway, because that would give different locations, the possibility, we have some available to,
Yeah,
for other people who haven't had them.
right?
If we ended up with, they're all sitting there, then it's not, then I say go back to the other plan,
Right.
but
I think if we run out, we just print more rather than ask for them back. I think
We're
we just
having-
print more.
We were
Okay.
charging folks for them.
Charging is
Right.
probably a nice idea. Even if even if it's only $5, there's just something in our brain that if I'm paying something for it, I take better care of it. I don't know, like,
Mhm.
it has value, don't. So Thor, you'll check how many we have. We can always print more.
Yep.
I'll take a look at the project plan that we used for last year and the year before and just go through it again and update it as we need to.
Yeah, we still have plenty of bookmarks we can
We have those
circulate around.
fabulous, those pollinator bookmarks that talks about how 1 in 3 bites of food is more or less
pollinated by,
You think it's more?
I
Oh,
know,
yeah.
is supported by.
Yes, exactly. So we've got plenty of those. So we really do have a lot of stuff already just shovel ready because of just keeping our notes from previous years, which
Mhm.
it's paying off. So that's wonderful.
Yep. Last year, we worked with Public Works to identify some no-mow areas and by the library and the area in between City Hall and the community center.
Yep, I'd love to do that again.
Do that again and
Yeah.
maybe see if we can find more spaces too.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. Yeah. There is some concern from parks that if they stop mowing for a period of time, and if the grass gets too long, it really takes them twice as long to catch up. Like it takes more than 2 mowing cycles for them to consider the grass, you know, back in the schedule that it needs to be on. Who knows? Maybe they might consider planting some low mow grasses. Who knows? It might be kind of nice. So we can't push too hard there because I know that's important to parks that they're able to mow. But there could even, maybe there's just designated areas that we don't mow. I don't know. I mean, you talk about budgets and we need more park staff to.
Less mowing takes
Less
less
mowing
work.
takes less work, right? I mean, it's hard to say.
Depends what
Yeah.
you put there instead,
Yeah.
right?
Are
Yeah,
there areas that just don't need to be turf grass?
that's what I was
right
just
now?
saying. Yeah, just swap it out maybe in future budgets. Anyway, so we just want to get that on everyone's radar that that's going to start to kick off pretty soon. So I don't know, Rick, what your schedule looks like, or if you're free
For
to help out a little bit maybe with the pollinator stuff if we need you to, or
Pollinator,
just let me know if that's something
I'm
that
down,
you can.
sign me up.
Alright.
What are you talking about in particular?
Well,
We need someone to wear a silly hat and go.
dress up like a bumblebee
Yeah.
and walk around town.
Right up my alley.
But just, you know, a general promotion, like if you want to do it, I'll reach out later, but you know, just all the stuff that we might want to do with in terms of like updating the website or recording a press release or PSA or stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There, babe.
All right, so I'm just gonna move on then to new business.
So Teresa, before we leave the no mow May thing, I will reach out to the school district and talk to their grounds crew and just confirm that they're planning on participating again this year. And I'll check with them to see if they need or want any additional signs.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I think last year they said they needed a sign and I set one aside for them and then we never got around to getting it to them. It
Yeah.
just didn't work out, so.
No, it's a shame because we gave them like 15 signs that
Yeah, we
first,
did.
and somebody
Yeah, we
threw them
did.
away. And then last year,
Oh, no.
they didn't let us know until like the end that they needed a sign, you know, so maybe they'll have found their stash of signs because they were the expensive plastic ones that we gave them. But they may, if they're gone, we'll get them new ones. So I'll reach out to them and find out what's going on.
thank you, Ken, that'd be great.
Yep.
And we could even pick them up, you know, at the end of the
Yeah,
season
right,
too,
so that they
you
don't
know?
get lost.
Yeah, we could do that, yeah, offer that. Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking it and then I forgot to say it.
And I think
probably-
about the schools participating as their super visible locations, right? And
Yeah,
and
we
they
had
get
those
tons of
signs-
foot traffic, so.
Yep. I love it when the district office participates, right up there on Nichols Road or.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
that
Nichols.
and the high school, both are perfect, you know?
It is perfect. It is perfect.
Well, another place is that area between the city and the community center too. That little hill area, we had at one point designed.
The city and the community,
The community center and.
City hall and
and
the, the community center? Oh, yeah.
I don't know which one.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Fine, I'm sorry. Yeah, but we had one little idea that had come up and I'll just throw it out. you know, it's probably worthless, but it'll get us thinking a different way. Is to put on that slope, which is probably fairly hard to mow anyway, between the two buildings, some little pathway that would wind its way up around maybe 2 or 3 times, and it would have things like berries or something growing there, you know, that either people from the community center, or it could be something that the kids at the school kind of help maintain, you know, just to kind of be, and you could put, I mean, just throwing that out for you, I mean.
I don't mind you throwing out any idea at all if you volunteer to make it happen. That's all, right? Because this committee is a little different than other committees. It's not so much advisory, it's more like project based.
Here's where
But
we
I
did
think
no
that's what you're
mulch
talking
on
about.
city property
Yeah.
last year, so this
That's great.
is City Hall right here. The library and the top left here, and the here would be the community center, so kind of in this adjacent to the parking lot at City Hall, as you go to the library, the narrow strip. By the sign, of the library, now there's the little native garden that the Bee and Butterfly Brigade helped plant.
Oh, that's
Kinda right in here.
library, right?
So that might affect things this year. And then are you referring to this area, Sue, kind of this hill as you go down towards the community center?
Well, isn't the school this way now?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Go
school,
to the right, yeah.
yep, school would be,
Yeah,
This
so
way.
it's off of the parking lot, you know, like how, when you enter that big driveway that takes you into the pools on the left and the community center.
yep.
You know,
so
it's,
right
there,
here.
there's a slope on the right side, which is, it's not a hugely big area, but. You know, you mentioned something and it's certainly visible to both the community center and the people coming to the, you know, pool and,
Yeah.
you know, and the school, and, you know, so you could, you know, include students maybe in maintenance of something there that might.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what, but.
So I'm just going through the project plan for last year. And one of the things that we did not do last year was we thought about reaching out to find sponsors and, you know, to recoup the cost of the yard sign. I'm just reminded, we got an email from a business in town. You know how you can go to the City of Winona website and you can submit a comment to the entire council? And there actually is perhaps a business that was looking to engage and find ways to
I kind of remember that. I don't
connect, so
remember
I
the
will
details.
reach out to that, that's
Okay.
wonderful.
Perfect.
And so Thor's gonna check on the yard sign inventory, parks, identify some grass. We talked about rewriting the natural lawn ordinance, we did that last year, that's fantastic that we're putting that over the finish line. Reaching out to MG21, writing some PSAs, so recording some jingles. I don't know if you remember this, but last year I worked with a group of high school kids from the musical Beauty and the Beast. And we recorded a song to the tune of Give Peace a Chance. It was Give Bees a Chance.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
there's all sorts of silly things that we could do.
Sorry.
If we have the manpower and the interest of doing it, but the good thing about PSAs is that you can recycle them every year. You
Yeah.
can just keep doing them. You don't have to redo it. Last year, we chose not to work with the schools for public artwork, similar to adopting a storm drain. I'll just leave it on here in case there is any interest of picking that up again. We also talked about a window painting. We did not do that. We did submit an article to the My Monona newsletter. We created a bookmark. We, some of our members did reach out to local businesses. We worked with the Bee and Butterfly Brigade. We planted the, we did a lot of work, y'all. We put in the pollinator garden at the library. We sent out a mailer talking about going beyond No Mow May. It wasn't a mailer, it was a door we left behind. We walked around neighborhoods and left behind like a little flyer that asked people if they wanted to go beyond No Mow May.
Yes.
So,
So this year we have the benefit of the Bee and Butterfly Brigade.
Yeah.
As a team of volunteers
Yeah.
that's there, so. I think it'd be appropriate for us to reach out to them and see how they can help.
it's so much, this is so wonderful, so great, when you look back and think of all the work that we did. Okay. Fantastic. Let's move on to, let's see here, on the agenda. Back to the top. Still under new business, discussion on possible 2024 Earth Day events. That's in your packet. This is something kind of fun that Parks and Rec is planning on doing, and I'm excited to help out. It is called the Do More Trash Bash. So the idea is that folks would arrive and check in, and then just for an hour or two, they would just intensively like pick up as much trash as they can, and there would be a contest to see who can pick up the most. And it's in conjunction with their park cleanup day, right? So it's a good way to get the parks all cleaned up and kind of gamify it a little bit and have awards and things like that. And so we are gonna help them to promote this. So I think for the time being, just to get everyone aware of the event that's happening so that you can participate if you'd like. Thor and I have not met with Missy from Parks to really understand exactly how they'd like us to promote it, right?
Yeah.
But top of mind, you know, you have the city Facebook pages, obviously, and the usual outlets. So yeah,
Yeah, they need volunteers as well, so if anybody wants to volunteer. I think the link is,
And they're doing that on a Monday? That's kind of surprising to me that
I
they didn't
know.
pick a weekend for that
I
event.
know.
In the middle of the
Yeah.
workday, in the middle of the school day, so unless you're
I know.
they're unemployed, kinda can't participate.
I agree.
I think Monday is actually Earth Day, is that?
it is,
Yeah,
it
It's
is.
the first day of Earth Week, I think.
Yeah,
right?
it is, the first day of Earth Week, yeah, so.
Yeah,
So is the idea focused on parks?
Yes.
It's not like
just in
businesses,
general.
front yards of businesses or anything
I
like that?
believe it's just focusing on parks.
And where do you
Um,
actually,
I think it
you
would,
get bags or something
Or
from this
am
group?
I mistaken?
yes, participating business locations as well. I don't know if they've
Oh.
identified which businesses are participating.
Okay,
And
and
just
city
grounds.
grounds. So do they supply bags or is that right?
Yes. Let me, I'm gonna search my email for something.
So,
that-
yes, Missy, they
Oh, you've got it there,
They
okay.
need some help with event ambassadors, so it's just staging, getting things organized beforehand. A weigh-in crew I think they'll be,
Oh,
recording how much trash is collected, so someone to actually monitor that and weigh the bags. And then some cleaning up the cleanup event,
Okay,
we need some volunteers.
check in from 12 to 1 and then cleanup time 1:30 to 2:30. So this is gonna be a short, sweet blast.
I guess so, yeah,
Okay.
get a bunch of people, get them organized, get them in place at the participating locations, and then go.
Okay,
Yeah, they're looking for a sponsor still,
okay,
considering t-shirts. And then, need help getting the word out.
okay,
So it's on Monday, but it's kind of like over the noon hour, right? I think that's maybe what they're thinking. That
That's-
people would kind of
yeah,
You
you can
know,
do it on their
take
lunch
off the
hour.
afternoon or something on Earth Day and
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, we'll share on Facebook, we'll,
Is
Yeah,
this
make sure
something
something
that
gets put up at City Hall.
classes, like kids in classes with classrooms of kids?
I would think I don't think it's easy to get kids out of school.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I.
But like if a part of their science class, you know.
Well, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying, you know,
Yeah.
is there a way to appeal?
Oh, I see what you're
that-
saying.
Yeah, appeal to them in terms
I think
of-
that's, we should reach out to Missy to see if they've reached
Yeah.
out to the schools to see, just make them aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe as part of their curriculum, you go out for half hour and clean up, yeah.
Kids go outside and police the area.
Yeah, that might be nice. I can.
Unless there's a problem with the, you know, the types of stuff they might run into, whether it's sharp or
Yeah.
contaminated with something nastier.
Yeah, that could happen.
You
I
know, or,
can't-
or things that you don't
Yeah.
want children to find
Yeah,
necessarily.
maybe like kindergartners.
Probably should give you gloves or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really think though that kids would want to get out of school on a sunny day and? just-
Absolutely.
I think it could be, could be a rush. I know.
Oh dear.
All right, so is there anything more to say about the first annual trash bash? I guess I thought it was pretty nice that Parks and Rec was doing this because we were, if you remember, we were unable to coordinate the e-cycling event this year with Earth Day. We're still doing it, but it won't fall during Earth Day. So, yeah, so it kind of left us with little going on. So now we can participate
Yeah.
here. It'll be great.
Do you all know that there's a major conference going on too from, I think it's
What?
Nelson Institute or something.
Yeah,
other.
oh yeah,
There's
they
a
do that every year.
week-long
Mhm.
Conference, so I don't know how much.
Yeah, they do that every
If
year.
any of
It's
us
great.
wanna go, but I mean, or if teachers wanna go or something, you know, I don't know if we wanna overlap.
We
what
could
we're
certainly help promote, the city Facebook page, if you haven't spent much time on it, our city administrator is doing a fabulous job at, really keeping it full of amazing content. So I will pass along the Nelson Institute Earth Week. And.
It is the Nelson Institute.
Yeah.
Sponsoring it, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
and he can promote that there. That's great. Good thinking.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to under new business, letter C, discussion of community outreach for recycling program. Rick wanted to say a few things about what he's been up to.
Okay.
Remember the Pelletary contract has a lot of information out there and,
Oh, they do.
yeah,
Yeah, and we've linked to it on our webpage. So I went through all of those and I got some really good material to work with. So my primary focus is trying to develop a script for PSAs. And I thought, you know, based on what I got from Will, he has kind of a formula for doing these things, and I thought I'd follow that. But I would do it more by material than by, those films were very, here are the three things I want to talk about kind of stuff. But if I were to focus more on, say, metal, and just say a little bit about all the things that can be recycled that are metal. A lot of which people know, a lot of things people don't know. So this all got started, I guess, with Brad saying that Monona is recycling below average.
mhm,
And I think that kind of shows up poorly in our green tier legacy report.
Yeah,
And there is a recommendation to do more education. So Brad sent us that email and I kind of felt like
yeah,
that was something I really wanted to jump on.
mhm.
So here are just some talking points that I've got based on
Fantastic.
material. Can you see it from there? No? Okay, all right.
We're joking.
So just interesting, I think just educating ourselves might be of interest. Did you know pots and pans can be recycled?
I do that.
no,
Is it with the plastic handles and
Yeah, yeah,
everything?
the whole thing.
Yeah, see, now, this is exactly what I think this is great. Do you know that we're doing a library presentation on this? I think it's this month. is the recycling
The
program.
Eco Action.
The Eco
This
Action.
month is,
Isn't it Linmar?
this month is Bob
This month?
Lindmeyer.
Yeah, Bob
Yeah.
Oh,
Lindmar.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so maybe,
But that's,
I'll figure
it's
out
really worth
it
doing,
is coming up,
because
but-
there's a lot of stuff
yeah,
people
and
don't
there are
get.
lots of things, you know, that even I have questions, you know, I just don't know what.
Do you have
they're-
this in electronic format that you could email to Ken?
At this very moment, you want me to
You
do
have a
that?
laptop, well, you don't have to,
Yeah,
you don't have
yeah.
to, but email it to us, please, so that we
Okay.
have it in electronic.
Yeah.
format.
Yeah, I was just
Great.
finishing
Yeah.
up today.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this clarifies a lot of things.
Don't crush your aluminum cans.
Yeah, I know.
It makes it harder to sort.
Okay,
The electric eye needs to see the shape.
it's an electric eye, that's,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
Electric appliances like toasters.
you just toss them in the recycle.
Is it?
As long as it has an
Is this
electrical
all on
plug.
here?
And it's not it's not like a rechargeable battery where the plug has to fit into like a USB port. It has to be an attached electric plug, and that's what they use to grab it out of the sorter. When it first comes through,
Okay,
and even small
so
metal
wait a
pieces.
minute, you can put a toaster in
Toaster,
recycling?
blenders, hair
I can
dryers.
put it- Hold on,
Anything smaller than a basketball.
I can put a hairdryer in my recycling bin,
That's what I'm being told. Now,
what?
Yeah,
so
see, this.
before I go and do
That
any of
does
it,
not,
Because that's plastic and.
that's
everything
my
else, so-
understanding, having gone through all of
Right.
Pelletier's
yeah,
material.
you want some peer review?
But I
Wow.
want not even pure, I want superior.
Yeah.
I want someone better than me.
okay, wow,
Yeah.
Small metal pieces like keys, metal bottle caps,
what,
silverware,
That's okay,
small
right?
metal pieces, pipes. And aluminum foil can be recycled, best if you clean it and roll it up in a ball.
okay, so you're gonna turn these fun facts into PSAs for WVMO?
Exactly.
Sweet. And you probably want a couple helpers to get it done, right? Or are you gonna take this on all by yourself?
I think so.
Okay, I mean, you don't have to.
I mean,
but-
it's the writing of it and then working with Will and
Okay.
maybe Brennan to kind of edit, put it
Okay.
into something useful. But I've got the outlines now. And I thought I'd start with metal, so just the poundage alone might help get us closer to average.
Yeah.
So, I am thinking of reaching out to Pelletieri as someone
You
who,
definitely should have them fact check this.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. What I wanted to ask this committee is, how should I work with other? It'd be nice to do this in and of itself, but it would probably have more of an impact if there was an article in the newsletter that kind of coordinates with whatever the PSA is that month, or, I mean, I'd be willing to write something, but does that, other than the newsletter, is there other things that we should think about? Facebook, whatever, I don't know, all the various.
Mailers even?
Pelletier send this out.
What about,
They do, I mean, there's lots of material out there.
But they,
But-
they don't clarify that.
what about,
No, that's where most of it is where I got it from, on their videos,
Yeah,
What
they,
about
they have an
this?
app even you can download and it'll show you what you can recycle.
yeah.
I don't know how you would turn this into an entire news article.
Just,
But it might be perfect for PSAs, like you take one fun fact at a time.
Hmm.
It might also be for the e-newsletter that comes out every month.
that's what I'm thinking.
We could pick out like the most shocking fact that you've uncovered, like you can put a toaster in your, I mean, after you've fact checked everything, we could always have like recycling fun fact of the month
Yeah,
in the newsletter. That would be
and then link to the poll
and link
list.
to the whole list and to put people
Because
on
when
the
you're talking about that
Pelletier
newsletter, you're talking about one, maybe two paragraphs at most.
just like a little graphic or like a one, yeah,
Just, oh, okay,
And the-
that,
Picture of a
Sure.
toaster.
yeah, and the.
Did you know you can recycle?
Did you
your toaster?
know?
did you know you
And-
could recycle
right,
your waffle?
Right,
iron.
and then there's a link back to the city website with all the Pelletier, or back to the Pelletier website,
Yeah,
where the people can just browse and browse the way you've done.
right,
That would be a great way to spark interest and then get people to look through those Pelletier
okay,
materials, right?
yeah,
So that's just one thing, right? You get your PSAs, but it's nice to have a clickable link in a newsletter. You know what I mean? Because the PSA, you hear it,
mhm.
but with the newsletter, you can click on it.
Yeah,
With
they're
the-
different
yeah.
learners, different.
Yeah,
visual versus.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I think this is a good
So if we
starting
need
point.
like a graphic to be
Yeah.
made, like maybe Ashley could put together a graphic, like with like what Thor was saying, like a did you know? A recycling spotlight of the month, or recycling fun fact of the month, or whatever it might be,
Okay,
you know?
some fun things that'll
Yeah.
draw them in, maybe
Yeah.
they'll do more later.
Yep, and it just drives foot traffic to the Pelletary site.
Gotcha.
That's pretty awesome. I think that's a really easy thing.
I know, I'm having fun with it, so
Yeah.
do it, baby.
Yeah. How often does it change? Because
What?
the last time
The PSAs,
no, not PSAs, the rules.
the rule.
Because and this was a number of years ago when I've actually visited the dump site several times and the recycling center. So, but over the years, I know that they have, one of the issues that they face is, at least they did, is that there are certain times when different types of materials are able to be recycled, that they're.
Oh, I never heard of that.
You know,
Kind of a
that everybody
seasonality.
wants, no, not a seasonality, it's
Oh.
not that simple, it's like, oh, suddenly there's a market for
Yeah.
number 2 plastic
Yeah,
or
yeah,
somebody,
yeah.
Or
there's not.
Or there's not, or we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
metal now, or we don't.
Right,
Or we
right.
need, so I think the question, I think that's part of the issue of why it's difficult for people to figure out what they're supposed to put in there and what not. But I would like to hear from
I-
Pelletary,
Yeah,
how
I've heard
often
it
does that
changes a lot.
happen and how it would be.
I've heard it more likely changes from locality to locality. More so because sometimes it matters how far you are from that market that actually uses the plastic.
Mm,
So if you're more than a day's drive to the recycling user, then you can't economically use it.
Do it, yeah, and I know a huge amount of what's recycled doesn't end up anywhere.
Well, that's a whole,
Dumped,
you
so.
can
well,
get
it
into that
is,
one, but right now,
it's like, is there a way to make that more efficient,
Yeah.
or, I
Why
guess
don't-
that's the question.
why don't we just move ahead with what Rick's got on his plate so far?
No, I think it's.
And follow up, if you two wanna follow up outside of the meeting, cause I just wanna keep on track and
Sure.
be respectful of people's
Okay,
times.
yeah.
But valid question, for
Mhm.
sure. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it does create confusion. But maybe Rick could find that out for you when he reaches out to
Do
Pelletary.
you feel like
Who
you
knows?
wanna do that
Yeah.
too? I mean,
I'll definitely
keep
talk
me
to,
in the loop.
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
because I don't know what
yeah.
I'm putting in my hair.
I wanna move on to the next agenda item, which is number 9B, possible citywide social media. I missed. I wanna move on to the next, which is diversity, equity, inclusion discussion items. Are there any projects, programs, policies, or budget consideration that we want to pass along to council? Wait a minute. Did I mix those on the agenda? Those are two separate.
It's, I guess, 2 items in one. It's just, that's how the
Yeah.
agenda has been.
Okay.
That's our
Um,
template.
Yeah, as far as DEI stuff goes, I'll just say that, I have kind of, I'll share with you, I have, awakened a little bit to some really cool programming going on in Monona over at St. Stephen's Church. They have these events called Just Fridays, and it's like, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the first Friday of the month. If you're ever interested, you can go to their website. They bring in a different speaker every month, has nothing to do with religion, it's completely secular, the one speaker talked about the Ho-Chunk Nation, and he was researching a book about stolen lands. Another presentation I went to was about a person who was fighting hate and bringing like white supremacists together with neo-Nazis and Jewish people, and it was amazing what he had accomplished, even being invited to the White House and being parts of, the vice president's task force. So they have some really interesting stuff going on over there, if that is something that you're interested in finding more ways that you can get involved and learn more. Yeah. If there's anyone else that has anything to share, feel free, otherwise I'll,
I'll share,
Yeah.
we talked about the Renew Monona program at our
Oh,
last
yes,
meeting,
yes,
which also
yes.
is being evaluated right now with the DAB lens. The CDA was not able to discuss that at their February meeting. Because I think one of the council members was not able to be present, so they're hoping to discuss at their March meeting later in the month. But it won't be the priority on the agenda, so it might get delayed another month.
Yeah. So the Renew Monona Loan Program, as some of you know, is a program that currently does not have a lot of, what would you say, a lot of conditions around it. It's pretty easy to qualify for this program, and there's been some discussion on whether Monona could sort of alter the program to include conditions that would I don't know how to want to say it, like would reach people in most need of these sorts of loan programs. Yeah, and that program is administered by the CDA. So you're thinking possibly March, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
great. I will also say that the DEIB committee is very close to submitting their plan. We're just waiting for feedback from Nehemiah to get that kind of prettied up and formatted in a way that it's ready to submit to council. So that's exciting. All right. Now, moving on to the next item on the agenda, important updates from committee members or items to consider for future agenda. Some of these were added sort of late in the plan, late in the party. Energy action plan. Something exciting happened today.
Yeah, so we have met with Brad recently to discuss just options for.
So Ken and Thor.
Yeah,
I met
Ken,
with, yeah.
Teresa, we're discussions about how we can move forward with the city's renewable energy goals, which are ambitious and fast approaching. We have some deadlines to meet in 2025 and 2030 with our renewable energy resolution. In 2020 and 2021, we had the, community plan made working with Slipstream, which identified some short-term goals and set our energy use baseline. We've accomplished most of those short-term goals where feasible, and now we need more specific goals, and we need specific actions that we can take, and we need to understand the feasibility of those actions. So Brad had attended a workshop about energy action plans, which essentially create a toolkit and a roadmap for your community to meet those goals. And it will create a 5-year, 10-year, whatever timeline you need, and kind of map out exactly the actions you can take, the costs associated with that, to meet that your energy goals. So we've contacted some consultants just to start this process to understand the project cost for doing one of these energy action plans. So that contact was made today. We reached out to 6 local consultants who perform this work. Some of them are energy consultants, some of them are engineers, and requested that they provide us with this estimate by the end of the month, so that at our next meeting, we can discuss next steps and have an idea of what that costs. Likely, how the sustainability committee would be involved with this would be first making the formal recommendation to council that they, put this in the operating budget in 2025, let's say, and actually, approve the city to spend the money on this plan. And then the committee would be involved in, drafting the scope of service, selecting the contractor, and then overseeing the the plan, checking in with the consultant if we move forward with that. So really exciting, I think, and much needed if we're going to reach our renewable energy goals. And we'll have a lot more to talk about next month if all goes well.
This makes me so happy.
Great.
And Ken, I sent you an email,
Kind of late in the day.
when
I saw it.
Thorsten,
Yep.
you got it, okay.
I saw the email that they reached out to several different vendors to get
Yeah,
estimates. So that's great to see that that's going forward.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll look
and Ken,
forward
if
to
you
being able
know
to-
if you know anyone else that we should contact, or if you have,
You might reach out to GDS. They're another firm
Okay.
that kind of work. They're kind of based out of Green Bay. I don't know if they'd come down as far as Monona, but
if they can even just give us a ballpark estimate. that would be
Yeah.
helpful.
yeah, I mean, you're not necessarily issuing an RFP. You're just looking for cost estimates right now to develop an
Yeah.
RFP.
Exactly. Yeah, this was just a wonderful milestone. I'm just so happy that we've done this. So thank you very much to Ken and.
Yeah, I'll
Phil for-
look forward to having our committee, formalize this into an actual recommendation to council and
Yeah,
hopefully relatively short order. So
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree.
yeah, 2025 is fast approaching.
yeah,
Yep.
right.
Can't remember exactly what our resolution states for 2025.
All right,
25 by 25, something like that, wasn't it?
We have that goal, but I think in the resolution, it's
it's
actually
even more.
35%
It's like,
by
yeah,
2025.
yeah.
Wow.
All right, other stuff going on is that there's some discussion about changes to. In general, I think citywide, communication is getting sort of a little bit of attention right now and looking at ways to improve that. And one conversation that came to this committee was about our social media Facebook page, and Will Nimmo had recommended that we merge that into the city page. Yeah,
Yeah, so essentially every city department has their own page right now,
yeah,
and every board. So it's tough to coordinate that, to make a cohesive marketing and communications plan. And if you're a resident, there's just too many pages to follow. So
Yeah.
Will is proposing that let's have one.
Yeah.
And one person managing it with all the department heads with access, so that we can all still do our own posts, but have one point person, have one thing that residents need to follow, and it can still
so that would
meet all our goals.
include even like fire and police would merge into the city
I think so.
Facebook page?
There like things like parks
Parks,
that are,
library.
posting
Yeah,
so often, I think
Yeah.
might have their own, but
you could,
yeah.
I mean, you could post multiple times a day, yeah,
Mhm.
wow.
But I do think it's a good idea for
For
sustainability
For
to roll into the main page.
For
We're
sure.
posting maybe once a week.
Hmm.
Tops, yeah.
Yeah, we have about 500 followers, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Parks has
yes,
10 times that,
yes,
so we're not reaching the full
right,
audience of people who are engaged with city operations. So rolling into one page will help with that, reach a bigger audience.
all right. Something else that I just wanted to tack in quickly here is you all know that there was the event at Fratelli's that Sustain Dane sponsored. One of the sponsors, Ken was one of the speakers, that was wonderful. And we had a humongous crowd standing.
Yeah, that
room
was
only.
incredible. The place was packed, standing room only.
It was packed, it was packed. And we today, Samantha from Sustain Dane sent us a little bit of the feedback that people submitted. So at the end of the event, there was a QR code on the screen that people could snap with their phone and fill out a little short survey. And one of the questions we asked them was, what was the #1 sustainability initiative that Monona and the school district should focus on? And those were some of the answers. A lot of solar, a lot of renewable energy, a lot of
Solar is the number one thing that comes up, but I love this, plant more trees, you know,
Plant more trees on public lands, absolutely.
I very, very much agree with that.
You know, so there's something for
Well, the
everybody.
good news is those are two things that we're doing. So
Right,
that's great.
right. Right,
Exactly.
so that's that. I also want to share with you that at a recent city council meeting, we've been talking a lot about the operating referendum that's going to be put to the voters in the fall, in November. And that referendum includes salary increases for a lot of our staff that have not received a pay increase in many years. We've experienced higher than usual turnover lately, and oftentimes it's because a person who works for Monona is just going down the road and working for another community, doing the exact same job for better compensation. So the referendum includes salary adjustments. It also includes a couple new positions in the city, like a couple new folks to work for parks that they are needed, you know, to maintain some of the parks. Another part-time planner, you know, a communications specialist was also added. And one of the things that the council agreed to add was a part-time sustainability position. The beautiful thing about this position, unlike just about all the others, and all the council agreed that this is one of those positions that can really bring in money. You know, it can really justify the position with all the grants that they can apply for and the well, what's that called? The direct pay that you have to apply for through the IRA.
Exactly what it's called. Yep. Direct
pay. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the phrase. So this does not mean that we are ready to look for a person to fill that position. It only means that if the referendum in the fall passes, we would have enough money to fund that position. It would be one of the positions we would fund. Now, that said, because of the nature of this job and because it could potentially bring in more money, there also was some comment at the city council meeting that perhaps it wouldn't even need to be included among all of those regular positions. Maybe it could be funded in a very different way, and then it wouldn't even need to go as part of the referendum. Part of me is almost a little curious if advertising that it is part of the referendum might actually get people to support the referendum, you know, so I think there's part of that, you know, I think there's definitely a group of people in this community, and it's growing every day, it's growing every generation, that they want this, you know, so I don't know, it's a very interesting time here in the city when it comes to sustainability. So good stuff happening all around. The last thing I just wanted to say is that we have 2 open committee seats. So Sarah, as you know, she's been with us for several years, and it just felt it was time to move on, focus on a lot of the other stuff that she's got going on. Also, Dan Costello has decided it's his 2-year, no, what is it? How many years? Every 5. Is it every 4 years that the position? I can't even remember. His term was up, and he decided, and he's been with the committee for many, many years, back when, you know. So he decided it was time for him to move on as well. So we're looking for 2 positions, and Mr. Ken Walls, your seat is also open, and if you need me to, like, you know, buy you drinks or make you an apple pie or whatever it is I can do to convince you to stay. We really want you to stay. You don't have to say anything, but
I'll stand for re-election as long as you guys aren't sick of me.
that'd be great. That's wonderful. So we are looking for 2 positions, and there are always people that are applying to city committees. If you're watching the recording of this meeting or watching the live, just get your application into the city. It's on the city website. You can apply to be on this or any of the city committees. And we'll be looking through the current applicants and hopefully getting some more applicants. If any of you have suggestions for the types of experience that we should be looking for, the types of qualifications that we should be considering. I mean, right now, we're moving into some interesting energy work, energy action plan stuff. So I can see really focusing in on people with that sort of expertise. At the same time, how valuable is it to have a graphic artist on our team, right? I mean, it's interesting, you need sort of a wide variety. I've thought it might be interesting to have someone with a legal background. I mean, I was talking with someone this weekend who works with MGE in the legal department. That'd be kind of interesting to have that person on this list. I mean, so just think about who you might know out there that might enjoy this. This is also a working committee, you know, so we often have a lot of volunteer work that people like get out and do stuff. It's less than advisory. You all know what that's about. All right, is there anything else though on the agenda that that's the end, that's what I have. Are we done? All
I
right,
just thought I'd mention
Admit-
that stormwater, oh, go ahead, Ken.
Please, go ahead. Nope, I'll wait.
hey, Rick, go
Oh,
for
just
it.
that we should know soon about the stormwater murals.
Oh,
The grant, yeah,
that's right,
Early
That's
March,
right.
they should get back to us.
excellent.
that's right.
I'm
Can
not
you-
sure what our role will be, if we get the grants.
Can you say a little bit about that, Rick?
Yeah, Brad put in 2 applications. One would be at the corner. You know where the bridge is? Over
Bridge Road and
Winnequa.
Winnequa Bridge,
Right on the
yeah,
bike loop.
yeah,
Right, and that was one, and the other was Stonebridge Park. And he made the point that there's bike camp during the summer,
okay.
run by the parks, and the kids might be willing to be part of it.
Oh,
And that obviously each of those sites would get a lot of visibility with being part of the bike loop. So Brad said he was at some conference where other communities also, the stormwater group, they get together.
mhm.
And supposedly Madison generally hogs most of that money, but Brad said, hey, Winona's coming in hot.
So if we,
So,
so if we get the grant, it's my understanding that we don't even have to decorate I mean, artists.
There's like,
Do it.
it could either be a standard design
Okay,
that they have in their catalog, or they can actually work with a group of kids to put something together.
okay,
And I think Brad had it where there were so many possible groups that might be interested or available, that it might be a custom design, working with local kids.
but the artists everything would be coordinated.
Once it's designed,
We wouldn't have to
No,
coordinate
there's a
everything,
standard-
anything,
there's a standard group of muralists,
yeah. Yeah. So all we
that
have to,
would,
yeah, all we have to do is apply and they do all the work.
Correct.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
what we should be working, yeah, we should
I-
be working for all of them. You know, it's hard not to-
They do make it easy. So that's great.
And when did you say we might know more about that?
They just say early March,
Early
so that
March?
could be any day at this point.
That's kind of exciting. We'll have to, hopefully Brad will have some
Yeah,
good
maybe
news
we'll
for
get
us.
both, I don't know,
Yeah.
we'll see.
All
I
right,
certainly think we'll get one.
sweet. In that case, I'll take is there anything else that anyone would like to add? We are coming to the
I
end
was,
of the
I was just
agenda.
gonna share a little bit of news. Maybe you talked about this before I joined earlier, Teresa, but Teresa and I both were able to join a meeting earlier this week with Dane County on the direct pay incentives for clean energy programs and clean vehicles. It was pretty interesting. There's at least a few municipalities around us that have submitted claims for those now. Sun Prairie and McFarland both have direct pay incentive claims that they've submitted. And the one thing I noted was, I think it was Rose, the sustainability
Sun
coordinator
Prairie,
from
yeah.
Sun Prairie, that said it was easier than submitting your income taxes, which was good to hear, because everybody's been kind of wondering how daunting of a challenge it's going to be to claim these incentives. But it sounded like it wasn't all that difficult. So, so that's good. When we get to that point, there'll have been, some other folks that have at least trod that path already and, worn it in for us a little bit. We have 2 solar projects we're doing at the Tech College this year as well that will both qualify for those direct pay incentives. So I'm going to find out how to do that paperwork sooner than later. one way or another, whether I like it or not. So when we get to
Yeah,
that
you-
stage for Monona, we should have it all figured out.
Yeah, you asked an interesting question about the proximity to a certain community. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a 30% cash incentive that everybody gets. You just, you claim it and it's 30% of whatever the cost is for the installation. You get that incentive. There's then a 10% adder incentive if you're in a census tract that has a legacy coal-fired power plant,
That was it.
which obviously the MG&E Blount station qualifies.
Yeah,
Now, that's not part of Monona's census tract, but my question was, how close do you have to be to that
Yeah.
census tract? Because it says that census tract or an adjacent tract. Well, the census tract that includes it is on the isthmus. The adjacent tract is actually Lake Monona. But it seems like the boundary ends at the water's edge from what I can tell in the map. 'Cause I was really trying to figure out whether or not we'd get the extra 10% adder over in Monona, and it doesn't look
sounds
like
like
we do.
no, yeah, sounds
Yeah.
like no. Huh, yeah, Kathy Coons did a great job at leading the discussion and then, like you said, the sustainability coordinator in Sun Prairie and then a representative for McFarland. Looks like he was joining right from that beautiful new public safety building. They talked about their experiences.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff going on.
And this program is available for the next 10 years.
You can get that in that direct pay for 10 years, so
Yeah, 30% straight up, and if you use American-made products, another 10% adder on top of that you can qualify for. So
Right.
sweet. All right. We're at a great time to be creating an energy plan. We really are.
that's right. Yeah.
Right? What the perfect time. For so long, we've just been sort of waiting and the time never seemed right and the roof wasn't right or the funding wasn't there. And now we've got all these buildings that are suddenly,
All at the same time in need of a new roof.
and we have tons of federal dollars
That are,
available. So this is great. All right. That is it then for the agenda, folks. I will take a motion to adjourn. If anyone would like to do that.
I'll move to adjourn.
Sue
Second.
and Rick will second.
and all in favor?
Hi.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
I can.
See you,
Have a
Ken.
good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Ken.
Yeah.
I have one.
Bye-bye.